Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another exciting session of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. My name's Joe Grabowski. For those who don't know, I'm the founder of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and our whole goal here is to bring science, adventure, conservation into classrooms, North America, and throughout the world. So to get things started, I just want to introduce our classes we have joining us today. So I'm going to turn their mics on so they can say hi. Our first class is some first graders from Grass Lake, Michigan. There they are. All right. Good morning. Our next group is joining us from New Jersey. They're Mrs. Favorite's third graders. Looks like a good group of third graders. And our final group is joining us from South Texas, and they are some fourth graders. Morning, guys.
Hello, that's you.
All right. Well, I'm not going to delay too long other than just to say hi to everybody who's watching the live feed, and just to remind classrooms or individuals that there is a question and answer option, little blue chat bar on the left, and you can send in questions via there at any time. So let's get to our guest, Amanda Cotton. And Amanda is, well, she's awesome. We'll start with that. She's an underwater photographer and one of the best there is, and the best I know, that's for sure. And she travels the world photographing whales, sharks, crocodiles, other forms of marine life. And you can find her work in National Geographic and Sport Diver Magazine, Scuba Diving Magazine. The list just goes on and on and on. And her big goal is to help the public embrace the beauty of what's going on below the waves, and obviously what we need to conserve and protect in our ocean. So that's enough for me. Let's let Amanda take over. She's got some pretty cool stuff to show us today. Hi, Amanda.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
They're muted, so they can wave, though.
Okay,
Wave
you guys have
good.
to wave. Give me big waves. Yay! Okay, excellent. So, yeah, so thank you so much, Joe. That was incredibly kind of you to say. And I'm very, very excited to be sharing my cool job with you guys today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some pictures of me working, and then I'm going to show you the pictures that I've captured when I'm working, and we're going to talk a little bit about why photography is important and why the oceans are important to protect, which is really kind of my main focus with what I do with my job. So I'm going to switch over, see if I can do this, and share some pictures with you. Can you guys see that? Everybody see that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so I work as an underwater photographer. And what that means is I get to go to a whole bunch of different really cool places around the planet and take pictures. I get to take pictures of whales. I get to take pictures of sharks and crocodiles and dolphins and anything that's under the water, anything that's in the ocean. And it doesn't just have to be in the ocean. It can be in freshwater. So rivers and lakes, there's all kinds of really cool stuff in the world to see. So this is me, and these are sperm whales. And sperm whales are really cool animals to be in the water with. And I get to go down and I get to work with these animals about a month every year. And there's an island called Dominica. And I get to go down there and I get to shoot these animals, and I get to take other underwater photographers down, and they get to be in the water with these animals too. I also get to shoot lots of sharks, and we're going to talk a lot about sharks in this presentation, because sharks are my personal favorite. I absolutely love them, and there's a lot of things going on with sharks, so we're going to talk more about that. But this is me, and I'm scuba diving, and you guys can you see what's in my hands? That's my camera. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but the shark that I'm shooting here, that's a tiger shark. And the shark that's in front of the tiger shark, that's a lemon shark. And this is one of my favorite places in the world to shoot, too. This is a place called Tiger Beach in the Bahamas. And the sharks here are pretty used to people coming down and scuba diving with them. and they'll come in nice and close to your camera and take pictures. So he's just, actually this is a female tiger shark, and she's coming in and she's just kind of checking me out to see what's going on, and that allows me a really close-up encounter to be able to take a picture of her. Now this is a really cool animal. This is a whale shark, and this is me shooting the whale shark. This is in Mexico, and the whale shark is the largest fish in the ocean. And they're absolutely beautiful. They pose no threat. They're not scary. They're not going to hurt people in any way. And they're lots of fun to go swimming with. And actually, I'm going to show you pictures in a little bit of a little girl who's about 6 years old, and she went swimming with these animals too. And this is a whale shark again, and this is me down there, and I'm just swimming alongside of it, trying to get up nice and close to be able to take a picture of it. And this is more sharks. Now these are bull sharks, and a lot of times you'll hear people talk about bull sharks, how they're scary and how they maybe are more aggressive than other species. But if you dive with them in a safe way and you encounter them when you're scuba diving and you've got professionals around you, you can really dive safely with these animals. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. And then this is me up in New York area. This is a blue shark. So you see my camera? You guys see that? Yeah? And you see the things that are sticking out on either side of the camera? Those are my strobes. Those are lights. And that's how I light up the animals underwater, kind of like a flash. More sharks, because sharks are my very favorite. So this is an oceanic whitetip, and this is in the Bahamas. And these sharks are absolutely beautiful, and I love diving with them. You guys know what kind of shark this is? Do you remember? That's it. Can you see the stripes on its side? That's a tiger shark. Now these are more bull sharks in Mexico, and I love scuba diving with them because they come in nice and close, and they're beautiful to take pictures of. And that's my friend Charlie. Now you see the thing that's underneath his feet? That's called a feeder tube. And what we do is we put fish in there, and Charlie will actually feed the sharks, the fish, and they come in nice and close when he does that, and then I'm able to get really cool pictures of the sharks. Can you see what he's wearing? See, most times when we go scuba diving, we have a wetsuit. And the wetsuit isn't a lot of protection. It keeps you warm, and it keeps maybe stings from jellyfish off. But when we're working with sharks, a lot of times we have to wear chainmail, and we're going to talk about that. But do you see the silver suit that he's got on? That's called a chainmail suit. And I'm going to show you more pictures of it and describe it in a little bit more. This is another tiger shark. This is in the Bahamas. As you can see, I've got my camera in my hands again, and I'm just waiting for that perfect shot. Now you guys know what these are? Those are dolphins. And there's tons of dolphins that you can go swimming with in the wild in the Bahamas. So these are Atlantic spotted dolphins. And there are spots that you can go out and you can swim for hours and hours with these guys out in the open ocean. And they come in on their own terms, which means they come in to swim with you because they want to swim with you. It's a very cool feeling to have a wild animal come in and want to interact and play with you. You guys know what this is? It's a sea turtle, right? So in my job, I get to travel all over the world, and there's a very cool place all the way down on the other side of the planet called the Great Barrier Reef, and it's by Australia. You guys anybody ever been to Australia? Anybody know anybody in Australia? It's a very long ways away, and it takes a long time on an airplane to get down there. But the Great Barrier Reef has tons of beautiful marine life on it, and I went down there with some friends for a photo shoot and some work, and we encountered this little guy, and he stayed with us for hours and hours while we were diving. He was very used to scuba divers, and he came in and he kept wanting to touch my regulator, and the regulator is what I have in my mouth to breathe. And he was very cute, and we got lots of really nice pictures. So who can see what's in this picture? So there's 3 divers, that's me on the very end, and 2 other underwater photographers. You guys see what's in front of us?
Look how close you are.
Crocodile, right? Because crocodiles and alligators look a little bit alike, but this is an American crocodile. And so the crocodilian family, there's several different kinds of crocodiles. There's the saltwater crocodile, there's the Nile crocodile, and then there's these guys, American crocodiles. And they get fairly big. And what we do is we go down to Mexico and we dive with these guys. And you can see it's kind of shallow water. The water's not very deep. But they come up and we do it very safely. We follow very specific rules because you can't just jump in the water with a crocodile. That wouldn't be safe. So we have a safety team in place, and we make sure that everybody's taken care of and everybody follows those rules. And you see how close we're able to get when we follow those rules? We can take some really cool pictures. So this is me. I'm closer to the crocodile. That's underwater. And the girl that's next to me, she's not much older than you guys. She's only 16 in this picture. And she came down with me, and she was diving with these crocodiles too. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So you guys know what this is? It's kind of a funny looking fish, right? It kind of looks like a whale, right? Does anybody know? It's not a whale. Does anybody know what it is?
That's underwater.
So I just turned some mics on. Does the grade 4 class know by any chance?
She's only 16 in this picture.
Nope.
And
No? Okay. Well, this is a really strange fish. This is the largest bony fish. So remember I talked about the whale shark being the largest fish in the ocean? Well, the whale shark has cartilage instead of bone. And this is the largest bony fish. And this is called a sunfish, or a mola mola. And they're really, really strange looking. They almost look like, I don't know, something from an alien planet. But they're super cool. And they're one of the first things that I fell in love with in the ocean. And I was lucky enough to encounter one a few years ago and to be able to get some really cool pictures of it. Okay, so you might think, how do you take pictures underwater? Well, I use the same camera that probably your mom or your dad or maybe an older brother or sister has. But what I do is I put it inside this, you see that box, kind of that silver box that I have? I put it inside that box, and that box is called housing. And that helps to keep it waterproof so that no water can come in and hurt it. And remember we talked about the strobes on either side? So those are my lights that I'm able to take pictures. And you see the little fish that are in front of me? Those are anemone fish, kind of like Nemo, but a little bit different. So that's how I'm able to get my camera underwater. And when we're working with sharks, we have to be very careful that we don't have any accidents happen. So it's not that the sharks are going to come in and try to bite us or eat us, but when we're feeding the sharks, or when somebody that I'm taking pictures of is feeding the sharks, we need to be very careful that no accidents happen and that the shark doesn't accidentally bite fingers or a hand. You know, like if you're feeding your dog at home and you're feeding it a snack, sometimes it might bite your finger or your hand by mistake. Well, the same thing might potentially happen with the shark. So what happens is we wear these chainmail suits. Remember I was talking about the chainmail suit before? So these silver suits that we're wearing, they're made out of metal. So that way if a shark does come in and accidentally bite one of us, we're protected. So that protects the sharks and it protects us too. And we kind of look like knights, right? So these are the chainmail suits underwater. And you can see they cover our whole body so that no accidents can happen. You guys see what's down in between our legs, down by the sand?
Baby shark.
It does kind of look like a baby shark, right? You see all the sharks behind us, yeah? Well, the fish that's down between our legs, that's a grouper. And he's a super, super friendly grouper. And he came in and he wanted to be in the photograph with us. Isn't that silly? So this is my friend in the picture. Her name is Christina Zanato, and she works with sharks every day. And she handles them, and she teaches people about sharks and how sharks are important for the oceans and how we need to protect them. So I'm going to show you some of the pictures that I've taken. So who knows what these are? Does anybody out there know what kind of fish this is?
Shout it out if you know it.
Those are sailfish. So sailfish or billfish, they kind of look like swordfish or marlins. I bet you guys know a lot about those. But these are sailfish, and you see the big sail on the back of their bodies? That's actually why they're named sailfish. And they can move that sail up and down, and it helps them feed and capture their prey, which are little bait fish. And these are the little bait fish that they capture. You see their long nose? That's called a bill. And the bill helps for them to hunt and to be able to feed. And what they do is they actually use that bill, and they'll hit one of the little bait fish, and then it stuns it, and then they can eat. But they're beautiful fish, right? Yeah. And they move super fast. So you have to be really fast with your camera to be able to get a picture of them. But I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. And I love taking pictures of them. Now you guys know what this is, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a sea turtle, and turtles are some of my favorite. But turtles can be really shy, so you have to be very respectful. If you come up on a turtle in the ocean and it starts to swim away from you, you shouldn't chase it. Just like any animal in the ocean. If an animal of any kind moves away from you, you should just let it go because it's scared, and you don't want to make it any more scared than it already is. But some turtles are more curious, kind of like the turtle I showed you guys before. And this little guy, he came swimming right up to me, so I was able to take pictures of him. So it's remembering to be respectful of the things that you encounter when you're in the ocean, or maybe not just in the ocean, maybe you're on a walk with your parents or a brother or aunt or uncle. If an animal doesn't want you to be around it, or if it shows that it's scared of you, then you should be respectful of that and keep your distance. Now, who knows what this is? That's right. You guys are right. It's a manatee. So I live in Florida. And in Florida, we have these guys everywhere. And it's really cool because in the wintertime, we get in the water and swim with them. And you see how clear the water is? It's so much fun. And sometimes, when they're feeling curious and friendly, they'll come up and they'll actually give you hugs. And so if the manatee initiates, which means he's the one that starts it, to give you the hug, he's allowed to touch you. But if you want to go up and touch the manatee, you're not allowed. So again, you have to follow what the animal is doing and be respectful of what the animal wants. And these guys are super cute. You know what they call them? They call them sea cows because they're herbivores, which mean they only eat vegetables. And so they're big, they're super big, but they're not any threat or any harm to us or any animals. So what are these guys? You guys know what these are? These are dolphins, right? And the really cool thing about this is there's actually 2 different species of dolphin in this picture, which is kind of rare for that to happen. Usually they stay with their own species. So this is an Atlantic spotted dolphin in the foreground, which is closer to the camera. And then down below, you guys see the dolphins on the sand? And you could probably even see there's a mommy and a little tiny baby at the sand. And those are a different kind of dolphin. So the nice thing about, and this is actually taken in the Bahamas, and the nice thing about that is that you get to see all different kinds of animals, especially in the Bahamas. The Bahamas is a really special place. You guys like dolphins? Yeah, those are more dolphins, right? So those are more Atlantic spotted in the background. And look at this. So when, like I said before, when we're out diving with the dolphins, they'll come up and they'll play with us and they'll interact with us. And if you look really closely, you see the dolphins in the foreground. There's a little tiny baby in there, and the mom is protecting the baby. There are more dolphins. I really like diving with dolphins too, because they interact with you and they play with you if they want to. But again, it's the same as before, where if they don't want to, they'll swim away from you. But dolphins are really fast, so if they don't want to interact with the people in the water, then they won't. Then they'll just take off. And we even get to swim with dolphins at night, which is a totally different experience, because they come rushing in very quickly, and then you get to take a picture when they're in the light, and then they take off again. So who knows what this guy is? Yeah, it's a California sea lion, and they're super friendly too. Now this is a mammal, so it's like you and I, right? And they'll come in and they'll check you out. They're very curious, and they're very fast too. They're loads of fun to be in the water with. And you can dive with them and you can swim with them out in California and down in Mexico. So the really cool thing about my job is I get to take pictures of all different kinds of animals. So this is a pygmy seahorse. And look at your fingernail. I want everybody to hold up their pinky finger. Look at your pinky finger. Now look at your fingernail on your pinky finger. That's how big this seahorse is. It's tiny, right? Little tiny, tiny, tiny guy. So imagine trying to take a picture of that. It's really, really hard. And that's called macro photography. So there's two different kinds of photography. There's macro photography, which means taking pictures of little tiny things or small things in the ocean. And then there's wide angle photography, which means taking pictures of really big things like whales and dolphins and all the stuff that I like. So because I like sharks, which type of photography do you think you guys, what type of photography do you guys think I like better? Macro or wide?
Wide.
That's right. I love wide angle photography. Do you guys know what these are? They're whales, that's right. And these are humpback whales. You guys have probably seen pictures of humpback whales, maybe even videos too, right? So this is in Mexico. Mexico has lots of incredible big animals that I get to swim with. And these humpback whales are amazing. They're super, super big. They're bigger than your school buses. So imagine an animal that's bigger than your school bus. That's crazy, right? And imagine being in the water swimming with it. And they're so gentle and they're so aware of the people that are in the water with it that they'll move around you so that they don't hurt you. So who knows? Do you remember what kind of crocodile this is? Remember I told you. That's right. This is the American crocodile. So these are the same things that we were taking pictures of before. And you see how close I am to it? You see it's not trying to just eat me. You see that it's being mellow and that it's just kind of hanging out there. And you see all the fish down in the corner of the picture too. So we need to think, we need to question, because sometimes we see on TV and they say, oh, a shark's going to try to eat you, or a shark is bad, or a crocodile is going to eat you, or a crocodile is bad. But that's not the only side to these animals, right? So sharks and crocodiles and all of these scary things that we might think are always scary, they're not always scary. And we have to remember that. We have to remember that there's different sides to these animals. And the thing is that a lot of these animals are in trouble because of the environment. So there's lots of trash and lots of pollution. You guys know what pollution is? You know, all the bad stuff in the environment. You don't know what pollution is? So pollution is all the bad stuff that's out there. It's all the chemicals and all the bad stuff that might hurt us or hurt the animals that are out in the environment. So the pollution hurts the ocean. It's all the trash and all the chemicals that go into the oceans, and it hurts these animals. And what's ending up happening is it's hurting the sharks, and it's hurting the crocodiles, and it's hurting all the fish that are there. So we, as people, need to be really careful and try to protect the oceans from pollutions and from trash. And we're going to talk more about that in a second, okay? So I don't just take pictures of animals. I also get to go down inside caves underwater, which is really, really cool. So there's a lot of them here in Florida. And this is an opening to one of the caves that's here in Florida. And imagine crawling down into a cave. Now imagine it being full of water when you crawl down into a cave. And it's really, really cool. Can you see this? So this is what we're doing. We actually go scuba diving down inside caves, and we check it out. And it's lots of exploring and lots of different things that not very many people have ever seen. And then I get to take the pictures that I take in the caves, and then I get to sell them to companies, and that's how I make money. That's how I have a job doing this. So it's really cool. So I get to write for magazines, and I get to take pictures for television, and I get to take pictures for different companies, and that's my job. But my very special focus is diving with sharks. And it's very important that you guys understand why my pictures and why other underwater photographers' pictures are important, and how it helps the oceans. Because remember, we talked about how the oceans are kind of in trouble? So I love those sharks, right? How many of you guys like sharks? Raise your hands. I love them. That's right, that's awesome. Now, how many of you are kind of scared of sharks? And that's perfectly okay, right? Because what do we see on TV and in books and magazines? We see that sharks are scary, right? We see them with their mouths open, and they put pictures out that they're scary and that they're going to try to hurt you, right? Sometimes. So what I try to do as an underwater photographer is I try to show a side of sharks that I see, that I love, and show a beautiful side to sharks, which I want to share with the world. Because I spend lots and lots of time in the ocean with sharks, and I've never had one try to eat me. I've never had one try to bite me. I've never had one be mean to me. They're always curious or maybe even scared of me. And I always think they're beautiful. And I want to show that side. See, it looks like he's almost smiling, right? He's coming in and checking us out. So there is a different side to sharks. It's not always, like the scary movies that we see and how they're going to try to eat us all the time. There is a very beautiful side, and there is a very calm and serene side. You guys know what the word serene means? The calmness? No. It means calm and tranquil. There's a very tranquil and peaceful side to sharks. And because of all the stuff that's happening in the ocean with the pollutions and the trash, and there's overfishing that happens, the sharks are kind of in a lot of trouble right now. So there's a lot of sharks, not all of them, but there's a lot of shark species out there. You know that there's over 500 different species of sharks out in the oceans? That's a lot of sharks, right? But there's a lot of species of sharks that are in trouble because of everything that's going on. So their numbers are going down very fast, faster than we'd like to see. And so what we need to do, what you guys need to do, what I need to do, what all of us people around the world need to do is try to protect these sharks and try to help protect our oceans. Now, do you guys remember what this is?
A whale shark.
It's a whale shark. And you see down inside its mouth? See how you can't really see any teeth? They have teeth, but they're very flat teeth, and it's kind of a different kind of teeth. But they're filter feeders. So they don't really eat anything. They don't eat fish. They eat little plankton and krill. And that's not anything. It's little tiny, tiny things in the ocean. You can hardly see it when you're swimming in the ocean. Now, who knows what kind of shark this is?
Tiger shark.
It kind of looks like a tiger shark, right? This is actually what we call in North America leopard sharks. And you see how it kind of looks like a leopard with the prints? But it's very small. It's about the size of your body. That's how long it is. And these you can swim with right off the beach in California at certain times of year. They're beautiful, and they won't hurt you. They won't try to bite you or anything like that. They just come in and swim around, and they're absolutely beautiful to see. Now, who knows what kind of shark this is?
Ooh.
It does look like a blue shark, right? And you guys are very close, because most times when you find this shark, which is called a mako shark, you find blue sharks too. They stay in the same parts of the ocean. And some people think this looks like a baby great white. You guys think it looks like a baby great white? Yeah? And this is a, what do you guys think this is?
We only know one.
It's a bull shark, right? And so some people think that, remember we talked about this? Some people think bull sharks are very scary and they're going to be very mean to you. But I dive with bull sharks all the time down in Mexico, and we obviously have to be very safe and very cautious, but they never try to hurt us. So I want you guys, everyone that's looking at the pictures, to question and to think why you might be scared. Or if somebody says something bad about something, maybe it's a person, maybe it's an animal. If somebody says, oh, well, this person is bad or this animal is bad, I want you to stop and think and remember this presentation and say, wait a minute, maybe what they're telling me is not true. Maybe that person is nice. Maybe I should decide for myself if that person or that animal is mean or nice. Can you guys do that for me? Okay, very good. So this is a blue shark. Don't they look silly? They got the big long nose and the cute big eyes. And they're the ones that hang out with the mako shark from before. And there's another picture of the mako shark. You guys see that? You see how it could kind of look like a baby great white, right? And there's another picture of a whale shark. So what I like to do too with my pictures, because I'm always trying to get people to think and to question and to make up their own minds about animals and about how things are in the world, I try to put as many people in the pictures with sharks too. So you see this shark is in the water with this person, and this person is free diving, meaning they're holding their breath and they swam down to be with this shark in the water. They're not breathing off a tank like a scuba diver would. And if you can look real close, you can see that he's got a little tiny camera in his hands and he's taking pictures. And then this is a tiger shark. And this tiger shark is in the water, and this person's scuba diving. You see the silver thing on her back? That has air in it, and what she's doing is she's breathing off that tank so that she can be underwater, so that she doesn't have to hold her breath and then swim down and then come back up to the surface. She's actually able to stay underwater on scuba, and then she can get closer to the sharks. Ooh, do you guys know what kind of shark this is? Right, you guys are so smart. I'm so proud of you. This is a great hammerhead, and you guys have probably, I'm not sure if you've talked to Jillian or not, but I'm sure you have. And Jillian there's Jillian Morris. She works with Sharks for Kids, and she lives on the island where they get to dive with these sharks. These sharks stay on that island or stay around that island at certain times of year. So this is a very cool place, and that's called Bimini. And there's Joe, have they done the Bimini Shark Lab field trips?
We just actually did the first one last week.
Oh, perfect. So this picture was taken at the same place on Bimini where the Shark Lab is. So what I do is I try to share as much as possible with kids your age and a little bit older the oceans and sharks in particular. So this is a little girl that went out diving with me. She's 6 years old, and that's a whale shark behind her. And she got to encounter and interact with these animals and swim in the water with them. And you see how tiny she is compared to that big, huge whale shark in that picture? And she got to get up very close to him and have all kinds of fun in the water with them. And you see, now this whale shark is actually feeding on plankton at the surface. So it went completely up and down like that. That's called vertical static, which means it's feeding in one place, going up and down. And she got to watch this. And this whale shark, that whale shark's actually bigger than your school bus. And she got to sit and watch it for about a half hour, which is about as long as a cartoon, right? It was a lot of fun. And this is her scuba diving. She actually just went out and got scuba certified. She's 11 years old now. And what she does is she takes all the information, all the experiences that she has out. See, she's scuba diving with sharks. She gets to take that all back, and she gets to share that with her friends and her family. And she gets to show them how amazing the oceans are and how important it is to protect them, because we want those sharks and those oceans to be around for a very long time, right? That's right. So her experiences with the oceans and with sharks is how she helps. She just shares that positive experience with everyone around her. So this is another girl that I took out. She's a little bit older than you guys. Excuse me. She's about 13 in this picture. And I took her out, and she got in the water. And look what she got in the water with. She's 13. And she got to get in the water with blue sharks. So the person who's in the water with her is her safety diver. And he's got that little pole, and that way if the shark just gets a little bit too curious or comes in, he can just put the pole up. He doesn't hurt the shark or anything, but the shark will see the pole and swim in the opposite direction. But she got to get in the water with these sharks and see them up close and personal. And see, this is her, and the shark came in to say hello to my camera. And they were swimming all around, and she got to experience it. See, they come in nice and close, but she was very safe. And who thinks this shark is smiling? I think it's smiling too. Yeah, me too. I think this shark is posing for the camera. That's what I think. And what she did is she went back, and now she talks to her friends and her schools, and she actually does presentations at her schools and talks to all the kids and the teachers there and tells them about how sharks aren't scary and how sharks need our help because of all of the problems that the oceans are facing right now. And these are all pictures from her experience. And that was several years ago, and now this is her. You see her, she's actually on... you see the two girls that are on their knees? She's actually the one on the right, and she's down and she's diving with sharks. So this has become a lifelong interest of hers, and so now she's working very hard to help protect the oceans and protect sharks. So I want to know from you guys how you think you can help protect the oceans too. That's very important to me, because all of us can do something. Let me see. Let me move off here. There we go. Can you guys see me now? So somebody raise their hand and tell me how you think you can help protect the oceans.
Okay, I'll pop into some classes. Let's check with the third grader in Jersey. What do you think?
Bridget, you have some suggestions on how to help the ocean? Go ahead, nice and loud.
Not to throw your trash in the ocean.
That's right. That's perfect. We need to be very responsible with our trash, right? So even if you're in the middle of the country, you're not anywhere close to an ocean or water or a river or a lake, you need to be very careful and not litter. So we need to make sure that all of our trash goes in the right places. We need to go in trash cans, right? And along that same note, what else can we do with our trash? If we have something we're not going to use anymore, instead of throwing it away, if it's like a plastic or something that may be able to be used again, what else can we do with it?
Let's check with our 4th graders in Texas. Anyone have an idea?
Recycle.
That's right. And you know what? The thing of it is recycling doesn't mean that you have to go put it in a recycling bin. You yourself can recycle it. So say you went to the restaurant and you got a straw. So we should try to all not use straws anymore, right? Because straws it's called a single-use plastic, and we don't necessarily need to use it, right? We know how to drink out of a cup. But if the waitress or waiter brings us a straw and we already have it, and we could take it home and we could turn it into some kind of toy, right? Or use it for an art project or a project at school. That's a way to recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? It doesn't necessarily have to go into a recycle bin that goes somewhere else. We can actually recycle it ourselves. So what else is something else we can do for the oceans?
What can we do to help?
All right, I visited our 1st grade class in Michigan. What do you guys think? What's something we could do?
To keep the animals safe. To keep the animals safe. To keep the animals
That's right. That's right. It's very important, right? So we have a lot of animals in the ocean, and a lot of them need protecting because there's lots of, remember we talked about the trash and the pollution that's going into the oceans? So what can we do to help keep those animals safe? You guys can talk to your friends and your families and tell them what you learned here today. And then just sharing that information and teaching people, because you guys at your ages can teach people about stuff, because you guys have lots and lots of cool things to share with the world. So you can teach your brothers and your sisters and your moms and your dads and your aunts and your uncles everything that you learned here, because maybe they don't know that much about sharks. Maybe now you know more about sharks than they do. How cool is that?
Pretty cool.
So what else can you guys do to protect the oceans?
All right, 4th graders, your mic is on. Who has an idea?
What do you think? Xander.
I think that we can stop polluting.
Well, that's one of the things that
Yeah,
you said.
and
Annalisa?
recycling. To make sure the animals are healthy.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So how do we do that? Do we know? How do we make sure the animals are healthy? Well, what?
Stop feeding them, because now they're now losing half of the nation is actually taking all their food away from them. They're starving.
So we talked about food chains, right?
Yeah.
So, right? And how that affects. So what happens when you lose one piece of the food chain?
Everything else.
It affects everything else. There you go. Okay, hands down for a moment.
That is an excellent answer. You guys are, I have to say, you guys are actually smarter than some adults that I've talked to. Shh, don't tell them that. But you guys very much are. So that makes me very, very happy. You know why? Because you guys are the future. Our oceans, our planet, everything depends on you. So the smarter you are about the environment and the oceans and everything that we need to do, the better off we are. And it sounds like we're in really good hands because you guys are very, very smart. What else can we do?
Let's visit our 3rd graders again. Another idea, guys?
Go ahead. No, you don't have one? Go ahead, Judd. You have an idea? Go ahead. All right, change your mind. Okay, you have your idea. Go ahead. Nice and loud.
We could throw away trash, or we could like make stuff with the trash, and we wouldn't feed like the animals, not trash.
That's right. That's so important, right? So I'm sure you guys have seen maybe on television or different places, you know, like cigarette butts. Ugh, very yucky, right? And they're on the beach or maybe on the shoreline. Maybe you don't live by a beach. Maybe you live by a lake or a river, or there's water everywhere, but there's always little pieces of trash. Or maybe you guys know, like when you buy Coke bottles or soda bottles and it comes with the plastic rings on the top. You know those plastic rings? Those rings are a perfect size for birds and fish and other marine life to get stuck on. And it can actually choke them and kill them, which would be really sad, right? And there's also, it can get stuck on their wings or their legs. So you know what you guys can do to help? You can ask your mom or your sister or brother or somebody to take scissors and actually cut those. So if they do happen to go in the trash, they won't, or maybe they get left somewhere, which we're not going to let happen, right? We're going to actually reuse that stuff or put it in the recycle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If that happens, but say some, you know, because sometimes accidents happen, right? But if that happens and it's cut, then there's no animals that are going to get hurt from that. They're going to be okay because they don't get stuck in those tight rings. So there's things like that, or you can go out with your mom and your dad or sisters, brothers. Make sure you wear gloves to protect yourself, and you can pick up the trash. You can pick up the trash on the beaches. You can pick up the trash on the lakes and the rivers. But you always want to make sure that you do it with an adult, because sometimes trash can be dangerous too. So you don't want to just pick up random stuff on the ground, okay? You have to be safe. You have to think safety for yourself too. It's very important. Okay? Do you guys have any questions for me?
Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll go through each class for one question, then I'll put it in reverse, and we'll go back through each class for another question.
Perfect.
So let's start off with our class in Grass Lake, Michigan, the grade 1s. Does someone want to ask Amanda a question?
Hi, Sam. Oh, hi, everyone. We're going. How far down do you go? Can you sit up and say it louder? How far down do you go?
Oh, so scuba diving, when we're on a scuba tank, we have certain limits that we have to follow. So you can be a recreational diver, which means that you go to 130 feet or 40 meters, and you can see all kinds of really cool stuff. Or you can be a technical diver, which means you can go even deeper. And some technical divers, you need more than one tank. Sometimes you need 2, sometimes you need 4, sometimes they even need more than that. They can go much, much deeper. They can go down 300, 400, 500 feet under the surface. That's a very deep, deep, deep dive. And most people only go that deep if they're going to see something specific, like maybe a wreck that's underwater, or maybe there's a certain species of animal that lives deeper and they want to go down and research it or see it or document it. So you have to have those special training and certifications to go deeper. But most scuba divers that are just going out, maybe some of you have moms and dads that are scuba divers too. Does anybody have scuba divers in their families? Yeah?
Couple.
They're probably only going to around 100 feet underwater, but that's still pretty deep.
Okay, let's visit Mrs. Favorite's class in New Jersey. You have a question for Amanda, and we'll come back to you too, though.
Okay, go ahead, Lila.
Have you discovered a new species?
Oh, I would love to, but no, I haven't personally discovered any new species. That's a really good question, though. You know what's really cool? Right now, there are over 500 species of sharks, right? But it's been growing and growing and growing. So maybe in another 5 years, 10 years, there'll be even more than that. There's so many animals in the ocean that we've never seen, that we've never encountered, that it leaves the possibility of finding all kinds of new animals. It's limitless. So as marine biologists, I'm not a marine biologist, but there's lots of marine biologists that are out there that are researching and looking for stuff. And actually, do you guys know the Philippines? It's this island chain that's way on the other side of the planet. So I live in Florida. It took me 17 hours on an airplane to fly all the way over there a couple of weeks ago. It was very tiring. But when I got there, I met a really cool marine biologist, and he's discovering 100 new species of animals every year there. It's very, very cool. So there's always opportunity to.
Okay, before we jump, that was a really good question. Before we jump to the next class, I just want to remind, I can see we have quite a few viewers who are just watching. So if anybody does have a question for Amanda, on the left side of the screen is a toolbar, and the very top one's a little blue kind of speech bubble. And if you type a question in there, I'll get it. So we can squeak a couple of those questions in too, if anybody does want to ask a question. But for now, let's visit our grade 4s in Texas for a question.
Amanda, we're good. Danielle?
If you ever come upon an animal, can you feed it?
Oh, so that's a very good question. So we have lots of animals that we encounter when we're scuba diving, that, especially sharks. So some of the sharks that we dive with, we have people that are very trained and very experienced in interacting and feeding these sharks. And so what their job is they go down with a bait crate, or with a crate, with a box, and they have little fish, little bait fish. And what they do is they feed the sharks these fish. And they're the only person that can do it, because they want to make sure that everything's controlled and everybody's protected. Me as a photographer, I don't do that because I don't have the training in it, and it wouldn't be safe. And if something were to happen, it would be my fault because I didn't have the proper training in it. So there are times when animals are fed on dives, but we make sure that the people that are feeding them know what they're doing and are experienced and trained and do that. Now, if I just came to an animal out in the open ocean and I wasn't on one of these special fed dives, I wouldn't feed it, because it's still a wild animal. And like all wild animals, whether it's under the surface, in the ocean, or out topside, it's not smart to do, because some wild animals have diseases. You don't know if that wild animal, how it's going to react or respond to you. So to be careful and to protect myself and to protect the people around me and to protect the animal, I make sure I not do that.
Okay, we're going to throw it in reverse, so we'll take one more question from our 4th graders, and we'll back up to the other 2 classes.
Okay. And just ask it real loud, Thomas. I don't know if they'll get you on camera. But go ahead, Thomas.
If the environment got smaller, could we help it get bigger?
That's a very interesting question. So the way the world is working right now, even with this Google Hangout, we have an opportunity that we didn't have, not even 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because we are now connected to all parts of the world are connected to each other now, and it wasn't like that, and it's going to continue to get more and more connected. So you guys are off in other states, and I'm in Florida, and yet we're still looking at each other and talking. That's very cool. And that means that all the different countries around the world, all the different environments around the world are now more closely connected, and that we can actually work together to help protect everything. So we can come together as a team. We can call it a global team, that we're actually able to cooperate and communicate with each other so that everybody can do their part, whether it's a small part or a big part, to come together to protect the environment. And if that happens, the more people that get involved in it, the more young people, the more old people, the more governments, the more schools, whomever it is out in the entire world, if we're all working in the same direction to help protect the environment, to help protect the oceans, to help protect everything, then we're going to make progress in protecting those environments. Does that make sense to you guys?
Amanda, I'm just switching over to our first graders. They're holding up a sign. I think they have to go.
Aww.
So, they're out of time.
Thank you. You guys were super cool. Aww.
All right, your mic's on, so thanks so much for joining us, first graders. Hopefully we'll get to Very cool.
Very cool.
Third graders, do you have time for another question?
Actually, we don't. I just got a message that they're late for social studies, and I have to take them to social studies. So we had a great time, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You guys have fun.
Thank you. Okay, guys.
All right, well, let's just check in with our fourth graders. Do you guys have time for another question or two?
Yeah, we got, yes, sure.
All right.
Who's got a question? Kamora.
How many years did it take you to get through college to be a photographer?
So I went to a university called Brooks Institute of Photography, and I got a bachelor's degree in professional photography. So that took me 4 years. And then I went on and went to graduate school, and I got my master's degree in graphic design, new media, and that took me 2 more years. So it took me a total of 6 years total to get my schooling done. But at the same time, I was already scuba diving, and I was already taking pictures. So it didn't take a whole 6 years before I could go out and start doing what I wanted to do. I was already passionate and excited to be diving and taking pictures. So I started, before I actually started taking pictures, probably about your guys' age, and had a camera. My dad gave me a camera, and I'd go out and take lots of pictures. And when I went to high school, I was the yearbook photographer, and so I always loved taking pictures. So whatever you guys are interested in now, stick with it, and don't let anybody tell you that you're too young or that you can't do it. If it's something that you like, something that you're excited to do, you stick with it and believe in yourself, okay? Work very hard towards your dreams. You know, I had a lot of people come to me and say, well, you're a girl. You can't dive with sharks. What are you thinking? And to me, that was just like, oh, really? I will show you. So I went ahead and did it because I knew that I could. I believed in myself. I didn't let anybody that told me, oh, you can't do that because of this, or you can't do that because of that. I never listened to them. I believed that I could. I knew that I could. So I stuck with it, and I followed what my dreams were. And every single one of you in the class can do the same, okay? But you're going to have to work really hard, and you're going to have to believe in yourself. Those are the 2 most important things. And you guys can move mountains if you have those 2 things. You guys can do anything, all right?
Okay.
I've got one more question.
Sure.
Okay.
What inspired you to do what you're doing right now? What inspired you?
What inspired me?
What inspired?
Oh, it got cut off. I'm sorry.
What inspired you to do what you are doing right now?
So when I was about 4 years old, I watched a woman on television. Her name was Valerie Taylor, and she was working with sharks. She was in the water, and she was working with a blue shark. And I saw her on TV, and I thought, that is the coolest thing ever, and I want to do that too. So seeing somebody else doing something that I thought was really cool inspired me to be able to say, hey, well, if she's doing it, then I can do it too. And then it just kind of went from there. And then I started falling in love with sharks, and then I fell in love with photography, and everything came together. My family was supportive of me and allowed me to do it, and everything. And I worked really hard to make it happen. So it was out there connecting with people and seeing that other people were following their dreams too. That's what inspired me most.
Okay, well, Amanda, that was great. The presentation was great. The pictures were great. The questions were great. And your advice, even better. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for inviting me into your classroom.
I'm going to turn their mic on so they can say thank you.
And if anybody has any questions, your teacher should be able to contact me. So if you guys want to stay in contact, you have any questions, you want to ask me anything, you want me to help you anyway, you have your teacher contact me, and I'll respond. I'll write you guys back, okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Excellent. Bye. Bye, guys.
All right. Well, that was amazing. Thanks so much, Amanda. We're going to log off soon, but I just want to remind anyone who is still watching that we have another session goes tomorrow with the guys from the Amazon River Run, and they are about halfway through kayaking the entire length, 6,500 kilometers of the Amazon River. So we're going to connect with them for a hangout from Manaus, Brazil tomorrow. So anybody watching, feel free to join in on that one tomorrow. But for today, we're going to sign off. Amanda, thank you so much.
Oh,
I had a great time.
Me too.
All right. Well, we're signing off for now, and we'll be back again with another hangout tomorrow. So thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Joe.